So this past year, we had the privilege of actually engaging in a class during the summertime that really had to do with parenting and kind of walking along with our children. And it was a very eye-opening experience, not because it was something totally new that was brought to the table, but more so because it kind of opened up a dialogue between our teenagers, two kids that we have, and ourselves. And previously we had what we thought was a good relationship, but this actually enhanced it even more. So since then we have a lot more open dialogue with them. They come home and they tell us a little bit more about what's going on in their life, and so we become more of a part of what they're doing. And
well, let's clarify too what kind of classes we went through. So in the summertime, it's a series of 4 classes geared towards the parents and their young adult going into teenage years. We thought it very interesting because our kids now are preteens, teenagers, and I think that they've evolved into different type of problems in their high school years. So I thought it was great to attend these classes that Damon put out with our children, so that one, we could discuss it after we get home, and also we can get their perspective and their feedback during that class. So one of the classes was kind of like a sex class, and so I don't know if I was more nervous than the children because I don't know what they were going to ask or what we were going to talk about. But surprisingly enough, that class I think was one of the best classes that we attended, because it opened up dialogue into liking the opposite gender and their feelings, and Damon and Jerry really talked about how we as parents can walk along with our children, and how we could spend time with them and model with them the type of relationship they should be having as they grow.
but not only with ourselves, but also with the Lord. And so, just as an example that came up after the parenting class, or after those classes, wasn't something that we expected, but there was a little change in the way our church was taking a direction for preparing for this year in 2014, as far as the worship teams were concerned. And so one of the things that was kind of interesting was our family was presented with an option that caused a little bit of angst with our kids, mostly with our son. And he really didn't want to make that move. But what we thought was interesting was, as a parent, you always want to try to direct them and give them guidance and kind of push them towards a decision that you think for yourself is the right decision. But as they get older and we went through the classes, it was interesting to note that you can't always do that. There are phases and times for each of those. This particular one wasn't one of those times where we need to force our child to make that decision. We need to kind of walk along with them, help them pray about it, help them kind of discern whether or not that was the right decision to make. And I got to tell you, that decision took about a month and a half. But it was great, because in the end, we just lifted it all up to the Lord. And as a family, we talked about it, and kind of reached out to the Lord and said, well, what should we do? The Lord spoke back through me, and I presented that back to our son the way the Lord wanted me to present it, and it was totally amazing. He completely turned 180 degrees, made a completely different decision that we had hoped he would make, but not force him to make. So we know through his heart that was the right decision for him. So
because we made some mistakes in trying to force him, and then we pleaded with him, and then we even bribed him. All were the wrong things to do. And so it was one Sunday where Barry was preaching about fathers. What was it about?
I don't remember exactly what it was about, because this was on my mind.
Okay. Yeah, and so right after that, the Lord spoke to Craig's heart. He sat down with Matthew and asked him, it would really walk through as a family, move to this different week and support this other worship leader. And then he was okay then. It was so simple. It was so easy that you knew that it was God's hand that was involved in that decision. And so Another significant thing that happened with us last year, which also went right along with the classes, was that our daughter started to have feelings for another boy in our youth group. So that was new for us, and as parents, we don't want to have this knee-jerk reaction. And so, because it was new territory for us, and it was something that we spoke about in the classes. This is what I really appreciated, is that the church walked alongside with us, and we had I keep making fun of it as a summit, but we had a meeting with the leaders, the pastors, and we reached out for help. How should we approach this? Because it's a new territory for us, and we don't want to use our old selves into trying to manage this, because we knew it would be wrong. We needed a way that, how would Jesus handle this? How would we be able to walk along with our child and be able to guide her through this with love and understanding and compassion? And so I really appreciated that, because in those classes really laid out the foundation of how we should be spending more time and really opening dialogue with our children and communicating with them about tender things like this, sensitive things like this. And so I really thought that when this time came, I would be the one to run away, not the children. I would run away and Craig would pull down the cord. But I feel so much better that Megan is open with us, and that she puts this relationship that she has with this young boy in perspective to where her life is and where her walk is with God. And I really am so proud of her, because she has a maturity that I didn't really expect at her age. I'm really grateful.
And just as a closing comment, one of the things that's kind of interesting about what Penn just brought up is that this is not something that you take the class, you make a decision, and then that's the end of it. As you know, with the dating thing with your children, it becomes a lifelong journey and walk with them. But we've been at least helped with getting on the right track with the right steps to try to make the journey for all of us something that we can enjoy the fruits of. So we really appreciate that, and God bless the folks here at Catalyst who really helped us make that happen for us. So thank you.